Hi, NutraRounds family. On this week's episode, Ashley tackles teenage anxiety. I tell you how to make your own GLP-1s in a delicious way, and Todd gets assaulted by a biker. Tune in and join us. Welcome back again. Jake, Todd, and Ashley here from the NutraRounds Midwest Family Way to Work podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about what we demoed this week for you. Another incredible thing that we love about NutraRounds is the powdered formulas. You guys are pounding people full of pills all the time, and we all know that we're trying to get those clinical efficacious doses. One of the best ways to do that is with delicious no sugar powders. And today we want to discuss some of those that we really love personally, use in our own lives, and know will benefit every patient you put them in. So I would like Ashley to start off. Ashley, what do you got for us today?
Hey, I'm super excited. I'm sure you guys are too. This one, I can't say I've tasted yet, but if it follows suit, it's going to taste amazing because one thing that Nutridyne does really well is flavor profiles. And the powders dissolve nicely too, so it makes it easy for people to actually use them. But this is a new one for us, and it is super exciting. I think it's going to apply to a wide range of patient population and demographic, particularly kids, unfortunately, and teens, but also, your overworked, high stress, single moms, working dads, what have you.
So all
But
of us.
this,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, really, I don't think there's a person out there who can't benefit from this formula.
hmm
And it's called Uplift Plus. So again, this is a powder. It's again something Nutridyne does really well, and I think is a standout for us in the category is these functional foods that make patient compliance so much easier because you get all of your therapeutics in one scoop versus a handful of capsules. But
hmm
this one in particular, I'm excited about because it's really working on mood and brain function. And a lot of times we see products that are designed to support mood and they're really focused on neurotransmitter balance. But this formula is unique in the fact that it is looking at brain energy, mitochondrial function, inflammation, brain support, and neurotransmitter balance. So it's not just going to support those folks who are traditional, like highly anxious or are suffering from true depression, or diagnosed depression or bipolar depression, but people who are overworked, burnt out, and suffering from depression or lack of motivation because of that. So it's a much more comprehensive formula than what I've seen out there. And I don't think there's anything comparable right now
Right.
on the market. But just kind of taking a look at how it's going to support energy and mitochondrial function, we're looking at using creatine in this formula, which it helps to really increase ATP in the brain. We know from lots of studies, kind of a buzzword right now, hot topic, that it's helping with sleep deprivation. People who are sleep deprived are still showing really sharp testing results in terms of their brain function, their attention span, supporting energy metabolism in the brain, and also treatment-resistant depression in folks who are clinically depressed. We also have lion's mane in there, which is going to help with nerve growth factor. It's supporting neurogenesis and brain
Wow.
repair, but also neuronal connections, which will help to improve mood. And then we've got rhodiola, which is going to help with, again, mitochondrial efficiency and then support that mental fatigue burnout piece that I think so many of us can probably relate to. So you're getting better mental clarity, energy, resilience, which is huge, right? We know as
hmm
we move into this anti-aging space, resilience is really the big key for a lot of folks. But also, again, that neurotransmitter is getting balanced out. So saffron, I think, is probably like the home run here when it comes to those neurotransmitters. But we know that I think you actually talked about a study, Jake,
hmm
earlier where it was clinically comparable to using Zoloft or something to that
Yeah,
effect,
the
right?
outcomes were nearly the same as Zoloft. I think they said the same in patient experience, but unlike Zoloft, you're not having to throttle into the medication and you don't have to
Yeah.
worry about titration off. And so I think that's great because you can see how this is something that naturally works with your body as opposed to forcing a mechanism.
Yeah, and there are tons of studies out there to support the clinical efficacy of saffron for depression and anxiety. L-theanine, which we know will support GABA, dopamine, and serotonin. It will help us feel calmer, but not sedate. So I think,
Mhm.
again, it's a great tool. It can be used throughout the day if need be, and then also will help with stress and anxiety. Zinc, which I think is something we really overlook when it comes to mental health,
Absolutely.
is a super important cofactor for neurotransmitter production. And what we've seen in studies is that the lower zinc levels we have in patients, the more likely they are to have depressive symptoms. So making sure that that zinc is adequate is super important. What else is exciting about this formula?
I think
Obviously,
we
vitamin D, right? We need vitamin D for mood. We live in the Midwest. We don't see the sun for, months at a time. Lion's mane is another standout ingredient
mhm,
here, which is going to give you that anti inflammatory effect and then also just support long term neuronal health. So, in general, I think, again, this is such a comprehensive, well balanced formula that is covering all bases. We've seen in bipolar depression this be effective. We've seen in kids, right? There's not a stimulant in
mhm,
here that is going to make it a contraindication. And recently, I just came across a statistic that was really disturbing. I think it was 60% is the increase in anxiety in teen girls over the last decade. And having one at home myself, this is something that really strikes a chord with me. I can see it, among her and her friends. And so having something that's more gentle than using a pharmaceutical that doesn't have the side effects that those can. Sleep disruption is a big one for kids who are coming on or off of SSRIs and things like
true.
that. So really excited to get this formula out.
Not just from the SSRIs, but especially that population you discussed, Ashley, of the teens, preteens, and getting into young adulthood. We all have such we're just exposed to screens. We're on them all the time. The brain rot out there, right? And the massive scrolling, it's creating sort of a dependence or almost an addiction on the screen and depleting that. And so helping kids deal with the times that they're not on that, they're afraid to be social and they're inhibited that way. And they're staying up way too late. They're not following the natural circadian rhythm. So what ends up happening is they start pounding things like energy drinks, which start to
Mm.
undermine their gut barrier integrity, their blood sugar, their neurotransmitters, and their HPA access. And we have all things in here that not only are going to promote stability in those categories, but they're also going to enhance the more you take them, all of those things and undergird their growing brains. And so this is something that tastes good and is safe for those kids. And heck, I mean, I'm in the same category. I live the same way. A lot of times I got to be honest. And it's easy to grab for some extra caffeine or something rather than build your brain, which is what we have here.
Yeah. Did we say what kind of taste profile the uplifts is gonna be? Did
I
we
think they
know?
said berry
It's
hibiscus.
Yeah.
hibiscus berry. Yep.
Okay. I mean,
They said it's
that's
I
very
get
light and
excited.
refreshing. I'm excited.
and Ashley, you touched upon it, but like we honestly at Nutridyne, we have what I call industry bragging rights over all our powders because the taste profile
Amen.
themselves, when he talked about, patient compliance, but that's what it comes down to. That it's not going to work if they don't use it or they don't take it. So
Right.
if they enjoy taking it, they'll use it and they'll benefit from it most definitely.
Right. And think about how many different products you'd have to stack together in capsule form
No
Mhm.
to
way.
get
Yeah.
the benefit of this, but also the quantity of capsules that it's going to require to get
Mhm.
to therapeutic dose.
For sure.
Right. So we're talking like one drink that tastes great versus 4 bottles and what, 12 capsules
Mm.
easily for a lot of
Yeah.
these people. Again, yeah, bragging rights for sure. Patient compliance way up. It's almost like a treat. I don't know. I've been on a lot of these healing diets over the years. My road has been long and bumpy,
Mhm.
and pill fatigue is a real thing,
Mhm.
so having something like this that feels like a treat, right? That's why those vitamin C gummies are great. It's like
Yeah.
Mhm.
I get to have candy.
In the most recent email I put out, I put at the bottom, we mix like 20 powders into one in the morning with a little bit of fruit and kombucha. And my kids go, "Oh, it tastes like Skittles." I'm like, that's not what Skittles taste like, but I'm glad, exactly. And that, I mean, unless you guys had more, is a perfect segue into our next powder.
Yeah. Go for it.
The reason that I put all that stuff in there, a lot of you guys know my sort of hero story, and one of the main reasons I do this is my Finn, who's 13. He's going into that teenage years, but he's autism spectrum. And just the other day, he said to me, "Dad, I look people in the eyes more and I smile more." And I was like, "Whoa,"
Mm.
But a huge reason why is this next powder, and it goes so well with the one we just discussed. It's the Brain Restore powder. A new guy on our team we're so excited to have had mentioned that it's a high price point, and the whole team was like, No, it's totally worth every penny, and I couldn't concur more. You do have some expensive ingredients in here, and sort of to just piggyback on what we were just discussing, that Uplift formula, the price point is less than an energy drink. It's lower than this formula, and it's lower than competitive products that are in this nootropic category or mood category that don't deliver half of the stuff. And so that's another great thing is because we don't have the corporate overhead and all the bells and whistles, you're getting these incredible formulas with hardly any fluff. And so the Brain Restore product tastes orange creamsicle, and I really do. I'll drink it on my own as sort of that uplift in the afternoon if I need to be on a podcast or something like that. And it has all of those B energy vitamins, the methylfolate, the folates that we know, people are MTFHR. They have genetic factors that are keeping them from clearing out their garbage or functioning well and making energy well. It's got that niacin and pyroxidine in it that are helping you synthesize your neurotransmitters and really sort of undergird the formula. But where it really starts to shine are items like nootropics like acetyl L-carnitine or Alcar, we like to call it for short. We know that in the mitochondrial process, that the powerhouse of the cell, that vitality of life portion, you need carnitine to shuttle fat into that. It's like the shovel. And if you don't have it, you sort of have the circle of death, like on your computer while you're waiting for something to load. And Alcar gets a key, it gets a VIP pass into your brain. And so even if you're in a fasted state or, your body has to run on that alternative energy because like all of us, you maybe are eating too much sugar and your brain is starting to become type 3 diabetes or insulin resistant. You now have bold access to a molecule that readily passes the blood-brain barrier and starts shuttling the fat that you don't want in your hips into your brain. But I mean, that plus, the alpha GPC, which man, I could talk for an hour about
Mhm.
alpha GPC, but the amount of alpha GPC in here is one of the reasons it's so expensive. You get a
600
higher,
mg.
that's right, that's right,
Yeah.
Toddy. And that's like, I mean, that's study doses for everything from better human growth hormone production to post-stroke and traumatic injury recovery, new neuronal activity, better transmission through neurology. They even have athletic studies that show it's better agility and balance. I know you could use that, Toddy. I know I can use that out there on the court.
Yeah.
And when you're older, you start getting brittle and you don't want to fall down, right? So why not have a sharper mind and, a better athletic performance in every regard and keep yourself safe from breaking that hip that could land you in end of life care. And rounding out this formula is the phosphatidylserine. I love this molecule. It's one that a lot of people will prescribe for ADHD in and of itself, but something we don't talk about all the because of the way it soothes the brain and dials you in. But something we don't always talk about is 150 milligrams, therapeutic dose of phosphatidylserine here. That is a cortisol blocker and reducer. When you take that flame off the brain, you are able to sort of think clearly, and the brain is telling everything in your body what to do. And so if you can calm this down and dial it in, your brain is literally proactively, you're able to think and talk and have like sort of that banter and that ready thought and cognitive performance, but reactively to the rest of the signals in your body, your brain is not saying cortisol, cortisol, cortisol. It's calmer and able to sort of respond to your chemicals and balance you out. And we never really talk about that, but that's an absolute potent effect of phosphatidylserine. And then we have this unique in here, uridine monophosphate or UMP that I adore. The studies, you guys will have to look them up yourself. I'm getting too in the weeds here, but uridine monophosphate, when you put it with omegas, is a brain builder and has phenomenal implications in everything you want it for. So, I mean, we're talking about increased learning capacity, increased recall, increased working memory, better banter, better looking, better feeling. No, I'm just kidding. It literally is a one-stop shop that's going to help your brain. And I've seen it proven in my own life and in the life of my children and even, my wife and the people I care about. And so I can't implore you enough. Money is just money, but you just have one brain and you just have one family.
Well, two things, Jake, too, I want to add to that is like I remember at A4M when I was there in Vegas like 2 years ago, and there's like a lot, like 100-person practitioner line waiting to sample our brain restore. Because that orange cream is it's just so good. It tastes excellent. It's one of our best tasting powders, I think. And then what you touched upon was the alpha GPC. That's 600 milligrams. That's a high, I consider a high dose. And even you look at alpha GPC products in the market that are standalones, our 600 is a higher amount than what these standalone really been
Absolutely.
offering. So it's just a good value.
I remember when you first introduced me to that was like our cheat to get through all of the lectures for,
Oh,
long seminars. You get like into hour 7 or 8 and you can't absorb information anymore. And we just be back there pounding, right, to go into the next lecture because it really does make a noticeable difference.
yeah, I think word spread at A4M because they got is being more and more popular each day for sure.
Yeah. I mean, that formula, it tastes good, and 2, it works. I
Mhm.
throw it in my shakes every morning. I mix it with my chocolate paleo, which
Mhm.
sounds weird, but that chocolate orange,
Yeah,
something about it, it's like plus a
Love
little
that.
collagen.
there you go.
So the
Always,
so the
always.
GP yeah, the GPC, not to spend too much time on that, but a lot of times you'll see on a label 600, and then it'll say in parentheses, rendered down to 50% usable, right? Our GPC is 600 milligrams, so it's double when you read that on another label. And the fact that what makes it so potent there is it's a phosphocholine with the fats cleaved off. So it also is just like ready brain, like you guys were talking about. You put that in your mouth and you're fired up and ready to go.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's great stuff, guys. Anything more on the brain?
It's good.
I'm gonna hit one more before I shut up. I really, really, really can't stress enough. I don't think it's one or the other with these two formulas. I think if you're on, I mean, it's a superhuman combo to be on the brain restore and on the uplift. And
Mhm.
the formula we kind of highlighted last time was that NAD plus formula. In my mind, what you have going there is you're protecting and firing up and charging all of your systems, your brain and your body. And so I can't say enough for sort of the synergistic compound of the or components together and how they're gonna build your health and build your longevity, especially into those golden years of life that are our age until then. So the quality of life there. So we've talked about the difference, the change in microbiome modulators has gone a lot from the garden to the gardener. And the key one being acromantia that everybody knows about because of its influence on GLPs and its ability to sort of eat mucus and garden the garden. We have another formula in powder form that also is delicious. That has compounds in there that will increase your acromantia by 47 fold. So if that was the only thing that it was doing, that would be pretty incredible. So this next one, we've kind of alluded to in some other emails, and you've seen it brought up from the company many times. That's because in many ways, this is a game-changing formula. When we're looking at modulating the microbiome or changing that whole scene, probiotics was kind of first generation. Then how well do they colonize? We always talk about fiber, but really the polyphenols, the food stuff that those gardeners of the gut are looking for, that's what this new product is focused on. So it's from our ultrabiotic line. We're just calling it ultrabiotic prebiotic, and all of the super ingredients in here are like a weed and feed to the gut. And the first one is red wine extract. Red wine, even your cardiologist will tell you on the list of alcohols you get after you've had a surgery or bypass, red wine's way up there. So don't let anyone tell you different. Have your glass of red line, right, wine. And this is, if you need a little extra boost, this is exactly what you're getting from this. There's so many good compounds in there that are feeding the gut, but now we have studies that show it's going to modulate those bifidospecies that you want upregulated in the gut, and it's going to provide all kinds of support to the Akkermansia or these core gardener probiotics like Akkermansia and F. pronitii. So the outcomes of that we're talking about is better junction for your brush barrier, less leaky gut, more butyrate production in the gut, which we've discussed many times, that short chain fatty acid that especially the colonocytes need. And that's what's helping keep your gut all sealed up. Lower lipopolysaccharides, which is sort of that marker for general inflammation, and it gets into your blood. You have all kinds of deleterious downstream effects. Less insulin resistance. And there was a really cool study on cholesterol and triglycerides that showed in just 3 weeks, the cholesterol was brought down from 257 to 171 and the triglycerides from 245 to 240. And so that's a pretty significant change just in taking a fiber that feeds your gut. And so the next one in that list is these xylo-oligosaccharides. And many of you have maybe used some precursors to this before. It's a popular prebiotic, but this form is very non-bloating, and that is a big deal. Not only is it doing a lot of things that we just discussed with the red wine, the lower lipopolysaccharides and the decreased leaky gut, but it's also driving up those keystone species that are gardening your guts, that are helping prune that mucin layer, and that are keeping everything in balance, like Akkermansia and F. prownitzii. The one thing that really stuck out with the xyloligosaccharides to me was P. chrysal is a marker for kidney disease, which affects a lot, 1 in 7 people now in the United States. This actually was able to reduce that in the guts and have a profound impact on kidney disease or chronic kidney disease. The last three are super, super fruits, right? The cranberry, we know they tell you to drink cranberry juice when you have an UTI because of its impact on the lower microbiome. The pomegranate and the kiwi, these are really rounding out the formula. The unique portion, they do a lot of what we just discussed, but the unique portion with the cranberry is it's going to lower arterial plaque in studies in just 4 days. And so, again, you're seeing if you modulate the gut and you feed the right things in the gut, you're actually getting impact into your entire organism. And then the pomegranate increases that Akkermansia, which we keep talking about as really an important species in there, by 47-fold. So if you're going to take our Akkermansia formula and you're trying to really boost that, this is superfood for that. And then the very last one is that golden kiwi, which is a unique ingredient in here that over a period of time, I think it was 28 days, increased F-Prow, doubled it. And so all these things kind of in conjunction all together are how you're modulating 10 to 15% of your entire microbiome. And in a way that's not going to bloat you, that's going to help regulate gut motility, and that's going to feed the other things that you're trying to do for your gut health. So, obviously, a good product. I think everybody should have it, and it tastes pretty good as a cranberry lemonade. So, that's basically what I had on that one. And now I want to send it over to Todd for one of our absolute favorite formulas. What do you got, Todd?
Yeah, thanks, Jake. Yeah, great pride, great pleasure for me to talk about Collagen Renew. It's my personal favorite of all of our products with Nutridyne, honestly. I put it in my what I call my Elite Eight, which is like a foundational list of products that I personally take every day and promote. It just seems like it works really, really well for me. A couple reasons why obviously collagen protein and our collagen renew is so important. It's crazy, but 40% of the body total amount of protein is collagen protein. So that's just a huge amount that everybody needs. It's the most abundant protein found throughout the body. As you get in your 20s, your natural collagen levels tend to decrease. And then when you're someone like me that's in their mid 40s, once you hit those 40s, it rapidly just accelerates that decrease. So hugely important for me or anyone in their middle age and beyond that's, getting aging by the day, but has an outstanding amino acid profile. It's 15 grams of protein per serving. So it's a good support. Just to, you add that sufficient amount in there every day. It's what typically sets our collagen renew apart from all the other collagen proteins in the market. And let's be honest, like I could literally open my front door and toss a rock and hit someone that's taking some type of collagen protein that likes it and thinks theirs are the best. So there's a ton of competition in that space. But I'm telling you, our collagen renew is a clear number one. And here's a couple of reasons otherwise, is that we have 4 clinically backed study peptides. We have studies showing from Harvard and Penn State that we can reflect and that we can actually probably include with our next email with this podcast. It has attachments you can see for yourself before and after studies by these universities showing why these clinically backed peptides are so productive and supportive for all patients. 7.5 grams of total peptides per serving. So you got your 5 grams for gel, which simply helps with cartilage support. You have your 5 grams of my personal favorite, Tendo Forte, which helps your tendo support. So you think all your patients with like Achilles tendonitis or tendonitis in particular, 5 grams of your Fortibone, which is your bone support peptide, and then your 2.5 grams for your, Averisol, which is your hair, skin, nails aspect. So those clinically backed 4 peptides are just a massive, huge advantage for any type of collagen protein, which is on ours. But another huge benefit is it's unflavored. It mixes extremely well. I put mine personally in my coffee every morning, but honestly, I cook with it, to be quite frank. Like I put it in our pastas, our pancake mix, our waffle mix. So like my 2 kids, my daughter 18, my son 15, they get a lot of collagen protein and have no idea that we're cooking with it because it blends extremely well. Ashley and Jake, you probably remember this past holiday season, I sent like a holiday chocolate chip kick recipe that featured our collagen renew. I can actually probably include that in the email as well. That little recipe, which is gluten-free, grain-free, sugar-free, dairy-free, was a big hit. I went and passed those out to a lot of our accounts and at some events we did. So like, yeah, no, the collagen protein is a huge, huge product for us. In fact, I think it's like once it was released, it jumped up to our top 10 overall nationwide selling products in this NutraRounds lines. You can tell I get a little excited about it. Like I absolutely love that product. But little success story lead into our college renew. I think it was like 2 summers ago. I was doing an event for one of my practitioners. One of those events for the patients, can come in and there's door prizes. And I had my little, table set up with my samples and whatnot. And across the room, I see this just massive, looked like a biker because he had this leather on, no sleeves, tattoos everywhere, just a massive human. And he's like, he lines like right towards me. So gosh, here we go. Before I can even say anything to him, hello or how you doing, sir? He reaches across the table and like just bear hugs me and gives me a massive hug.
That's awesome.
Where's this going? Oh, and he goes, man, you're the NutriGuy guy. I'm like, yeah, yeah. He says, I absolutely love your collagen. And he can sense that he was getting emotional with it. I'm not, no joke whatsoever. And he goes on and tells me the story how it was a year or two he was struggling with his hands. He couldn't hold the clutch. He's a big Harley guy, obviously. So he's riding these motorcycles and he couldn't hold the clutch anymore because his hands and his fingers were just too weak. So our doctor started prescribing our collagen renew to him. And then within like a month or two, he kept on he got the mobility gained back in his hands, his fingers to hold the clutch down, to hold the brake down. And he could, get back to riding again, which is obviously a big, big deal to him and meant the world to him. So, yeah, we kind of bonded over, biking a little bit, but yeah, that's kind of a cool story that just this massive human got emotional. We got him back on the road again.
I love that story because I think for most people, when they think about collagen, they think about women using it for fine lines and wrinkles,
Yeah.
right? Or
Yeah.
cellulite. And sure, that's a great benefit to this product. But to your point, it is something that everyone should be and
Mhm.
can be benefiting from, should be using and can be benefiting from, even kids, right? To point to the studies, there's a huge reduction in recurrence of ankle injury. How many kids have loose ligaments and they're
Mhm.
rolling their ankles playing soccer or baseball or softball or whatever it is? But being able to use something like this with them that, like you said, you can throw into a juice, a water, a sports drink, mixed with hydrate, whatever they're using, really across all demographics, there's so much benefit.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
the aging athlete too, right, Toddy? Where
Oh,
we're still in these has-been leagues. I tell you what, it's half my indoor soccer team is on that right now because we have a rotating roster of 30 just trying to get 5 guys on the field, and we get them back a whole lot quicker with this Collagen Renew product. And, for me over 40, I reach for it before I reach for a whey protein or any kinda protein drink because it's a felt difference in your ligaments and your tendons, and it's keeping you nice and bendy.
yeah, most definitely. And kind of you alluded to, Ash, my kids, when they're having rapid growth spurts, I
Sure.
noticed that this was a good help too for going through the growing pains, not just for the bone support, but like the ligaments and tendons as well. It definitely helped alleviate those pains.
Yeah, for sure. And then the bone support, right, for osteoporosis, there's, again, in the studies that we'll attach here for you all to look at, massive reduction in fracture for postmenopausal or
Mhm.
menopausal women. So it covers all the bases. It's a really important foundational.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that. I think we gave you some good powders to look at. There's 100 more. So please visit our Nutrient website or reach out to us because we could have this conversation for 3.5 hours, but we know you're busy people. So we just thank you again for being our doctors, for spending this time with us on your way to work. And I'm going to have Ashley lead us out here with a little message from the group.
Yeah, so just to echo you, Jake, thank you all for taking the time to tune in. Thanks for seeing us when we pop in the office. It's a pleasure to be working with and serving all of you and your patient base. So if there's something that you'd be more interested in hearing about, different products or protocols you'd like to see us cover in the future, please respond to the emails, reach out and let us know. Or if you're interested in being a guest and sharing success stories or things that have worked well in your clinic to help us create a little bit of a round table, we'd love to have you. So let us know if you'd like to join us at some point in the future.
Fantastic. Thank you guys. Have a great week.
Thank you.
Thanks.